Hello and welcome to this episode of Voices of Fostering. Now, if you are considering becoming a foster carer, you might have birth children and you might be wondering how being a foster carer and becoming a fostering family is going to affect them. Well, I am really excited to introduce our next guest, who's Kyra. Hello, Kyra.
Hi, Colored.
Hi. So, Kyra, I'm really looking forward to chatting to you today because you were a birth child, weren't you, as we call them?
I
You're
was indeed.
yeah. So you were 12 years old, and your family decided to become a fostering family. So tell us about that. What do you remember of it from when you were 12?
I remember it being a difficult period in our family in general, and my mum was going through a career change. She wasn't happy in her current job, and she knew that she wanted to pursue fostering, and she'd been thinking about it for a number of years. I think she was waiting until my sister and I had gotten a little bit older before she fully made that decision. And then the opportunity came up when she was made redundant from her previous job, and she thought, I'm going to take this leap. And so Sabria and I have my sister, she's the year below me in school, we're obviously ecstatic. We're two, um, um, prepubescent teenagers ready to have children in the house and ready to have babies, because that initially was the thing that my mum was targeting was
Okay.
from a foster carer from children under 5. So for us, that was really great because we got to play mummy as well. Um, yeah, so that's kind of how it started.
And did your mum sort of involve you and your sister in the decision, or can you remember when she told you that that's what she was going to do?
So I remember it being in conversation. I remember my mum involving me in the communication process from the beginning. I remember my mum talking to us about what it would entail as a family, and also becoming a foster carer is no small task, really. It's a lengthy process with lots of checks and lots of house visits and lots of family interviews and lots of character references and things like that. So I would say it was a process that we're all actively involved in.
Yeah.
And so I'd say, of course, a part of the process was that people spoke to us about how we felt about fostering and how we would feel about mum going forward and being a foster carer. And obviously we think our mum's the best mum in the world, and we always wanted to share it with everyone else,
Yeah, so
I
you
mean,
had an opportunity to rave about how amazing your mum was, really.
yeah,
So,
exactly, yeah.
so you were very much part of the assessment then, you and your sister. Do you remember what that was like?
I remember being quite daunted by it. I mean, I was 12, so I didn't really have.
Yeah.
I'm quite a confident person anyway, but I remember my sister struggled with it a little bit. But the people were really great in the way they were speaking about it. They filled us with confidence. They filled us with confidence about the process, and it was a lot easier than I initially expected. To be honest with you, I know my mum found it quite stressful, obviously, because,
Hmm.
but I don't think it was stressful on the kids at all.
Right. And then what about that first, child that came, or young person that came to live with you, or baby? Was it a baby? Can you remember that? Yeah. Tell us about
Yeah,
it.
our first baby was a little baby called Naya. And she was the most beautiful little baby that you could ever imagine. And she instantly became part of our family. And yeah, she was just fantastic. I think the first one was definitely the hardest when it moves on to the adopted family and the process
Yeah.
that went on with. I think it was obviously a big life adjustment for all of us. The fact that we had the new cots and we had the new, and my mum's priority necessarily wasn't us in the same way. Like we had a small baby with physical needs and that was crying, needed feeding and everything, and that was definitely an adjustment for my sister and I. But I think the joy that we got from having a new member of the family really did
Yeah.
outweigh any negatives I had. I think there were only times I remember really when I was in school feeling a little bit not neglected as such, but a challenging time of being a foster carer and stuff was um maybe parents' evenings, when we'd bring a baby to the parents' evening, and a baby would cry or something, and my teachers would be like, "Oh, it's a baby," and it's like, "Oh no, this is about me. This is about
Yeah.
me." That wasn't a reaction. that wasn't my mum's fault, you know, that wasn't
Yeah.
anything that my mum was doing. It was obviously sometimes an attention is taken away from maybe your birth child in certain social situations, but there are measures and things that when I spoke to my mum about it, that like that there are ways around it. Like we'd leave the baby with my my mum's best friend for the evening, or we'd organise childminder or something like that, just to ensure that balance was there.
Yeah.
I think the important thing was the communication going through and ensuring that you keep that balance. And I think it's easy to do if you just keep talking.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And keeping those lines of communication open and checking in with each other, how you're all feeling. You say that, the positives outweigh the negatives, but I imagine there are some challenging times. Can you remember any particular challenges? You described there the parents' evening, but anything else that, was difficult and how you overcame it?
I think as we all become teenagers, especially me going through, I went to an all girls private school, on a scholarship, and my sister went to a very different school. And then obviously, so I think my mum was being pulled in quite a lot of different directions, and my nana just passed away, so I think it was a difficult time in the family for all of us anyway. And I was going through a proper little teenage crisis. Like I was, it was all about me, me, me. I was very sensitive. I had a lot of emotions. I was a big hormone raging ball of angst and everything. Man, I think what was really difficult for me during those times was I couldn't articulate for myself exactly what I needed from my mum and what I needed from my family. And it's quite easy to use the fostering profession, or to use the fostering. Um, as you don't give me any attention, you don't give me any attention, this type of thing. When that wasn't necessarily the case, I couldn't really just explain myself in the way that I needed it to. And there was some harder things. Like I remember on my 16th birthday, one of the babies we had was we just picked him up from the hospital, and he's in withdrawal, and he had a broken leg, and there was an infection in the broken leg, so we had to go into hospital. But it was my 16th birthday that we went in and did it. And it was just the day. Like the next day, like we had the party planned anyway.
Mm.
It wasn't something else. But it was that was kind of hard as a child to kind of see this tangible sacrifice that had to be made, you know? But obviously you wouldn't want to see like a member of your family suffer, and that's what every child felt like. Every child felt like a member of the family, you know? But as you would be angry with a sibling for ruining your day, you'd be angry with
But looking back though, Kyra, do you feel like you learned things from those experiences? As you say, you made sacrifices for these children that were in your home. I imagine you learned a lot from that and that built your character.
Yeah, I think one of the things I pride myself on now is my kindness and generosity towards people. And I don't think I'd be the person I was today without the growing up in a fostering household. I don't think that I'd have the same kind of values. I don't think I'd have the same kind of relationships with other people. I don't think I would prioritize kindness in my day-to-day life in the way that other people do. Um, I think it really opens your eyes up to the world, and I don't think that I'm sheltered in the way that maybe other people are. And I think I've got my head screwed on when it comes to making decisions, like real life decisions about every aspect of life you come into contact with. Even like when you go to the contact centres and you see like different walks of life and different families and things, like in children's hospitals for like different medical things, or like going on the school run with your mum. Like now, like I help with the school run and things, and it's like it's almost like you get to be a mummy in training. Like I've had to go now. Like I'm a pro at changing nappies. Like I am so ready to have so many kids. Like and I don't think I would have felt as prepared and almost matured, but in a healthy way, you know, like emotionally matured, um,
Mhm.
and like learning a lot of soft skills. I think a lot of people just don't get, which I think is a really great thing for kids to have. And I know it's something that I'm gonna do when I'm older is be a foster carer as well.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask you that, Kyra, because you're 24 now. You obviously speak so highly of fostering. It's really changed your life for the better. It's made you into such a compassionate, well-rounded young woman. Do you think you'll do it yourself when you're
I'm
older?
100%,
Yeah.
100%. I really want to have one of my own babies naturally if I can, but um, there's so many great, great, great kids out there. Do you know what I mean? I think it's one of the best things we've ever done. Especially you get to meet such fantastic people as well. Like we go to the fostering. My mum's had built such great communities from it as well.
Yeah.
Like my mum was a single mum. You know, I wouldn't say that she had a great network as such before she began net fostering, but now like how many years are we in now? 12 years in,
Yeah.
and the people that she's met, like the things that she does now, like it's incredible. Like we go to a pantomime with with the kids, and you get to experience all these amazing things, and you get to go
Yeah.
and yeah, it's like it's such a brilliant community that you tap into, and also there's
Yeah.
such great support. Yeah, like she goes for coffee more, and she's got a busy social life than me. You know,
We always say that when I chat to people on this
yeah.
podcast, that your network becomes really, really big, you know, and it's just really lovely. So your mum's still going now then? She's still fostering, yeah?
Yeah, we've got 2
Yeah.
kids at the moment.
Oh, amazing. So do you still
Yeah.
live with your mum now? Are you still at home?
I just moved back, so I went to uni for like 4 years, and then went to live in Manchester for a year, starting my new job. But then I just moved back because I actually just got engaged, so it's safer
Oh,
deposit.
congratulations. So are there babies in the house at the moment then?
So we actually don't have children at the moment, babies. We have a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old, yeah.
And what do your friends, and when you were younger as well, what did your friends and people at school, you know, think about the fact that you were a fostering family? Can you remember?
I remember that when my mum first started fostering, there was a big stigma around foster carers, and that people would kind of say, so like, oh, what's your mum work? I say, oh, she's a foster carer. Oh, right, okay, but what does she actually do? Like, what's a day job? Like, and I was like, no, well, she looks after like children that need like a higher level of care, and that is her
Yeah.
job, to make sure that they have the best start in life. And they're like, well, what does that mean then? You know? And I was like, well, yeah, she's a full-time foster mum, and that's an important job, you know? Like that's a lot to balance. And I did find myself quite a lot explaining myself, people saying like, well, yeah, she's a foster carer, you
Yeah.
know. But then I realized, like, I don't know anyone else an explanation. I would just stop there. Then I'd be like, yeah, she's a foster carer.
Yeah, because they had their own assumptions about it and maybe things that weren't correct. Do you think that you had any assumptions before you became a fostering family that maybe turned out not to be true? Or were there any parts of fostering that really surprised you?
Well, I was never allowed to watch Tracy Beaker or anything like that, you know what I mean, going into things like this. So I didn't really have any stereotypes or anything like that going into it. All I knew was that um we would be looking after kids. And the way my mum always explained it would be, so they had the tummy mummy, and then the foster mummy's like the train to the forever mummy. And so my mum was like the little train conductor from like from A to B. So that's what I saw it as. It was like giving these kids the best start in life. Like,
Yeah.
well, because I having to unlearn bad habits and learn to be loved in the way that they deserve to be loved, and you know, have the best start in life. And
Yeah.
that's how we always were explained it, like and that's how I always explain it to other people, that it's not like some horrible foster stereotype that you see maybe on like in like the American system or whatever, or like these stereotypes of like people that just do it to like get loads of money and they take loads of kids in and the kids just run away and things like that. Like that's never ever how we saw it. Because obviously we were taking like vulnerable children that were like undefined, just didn't have any idea about what life should be and how they should be loved and how
Mm.
any different. And then like even in those moments where you think like, when maybe my sister and I were feeling a bit more selfish, and you think, oh yeah, well, oh, I want my mum tonight and stuff like this, you just think, well, like this family, they've never felt the love of my mum. And my mum's a very, very loving person, and believe me, she's got enough love to go around. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, let me, yeah.
You said there, I have to ask, Kyrie, you said there about Tracy Beaker. I've never watched Tracy Beaker. Was Tracy Beaker in foster care?
Tracy Beaker was in Care, wasn't she?
Right.
I've still never watched it.
No, I mean, I've heard of it. It's like a household name, really, but I've never watched
Yeah,
it.
it is.
Maybe
I've
we
never
need to
watched
get
it
somebody
either.
from Tracy Beaker on the podcast. I didn't
I
realise.
think you'll have to. Yeah, I think you'll have to. Yeah, I know that there's like Elaine the Pain, and she's a social worker in it, and there's
Oh,
a lot of kids.
right.
I think they're all in home. I don't know if it's necessarily fostering, But I know there's different families and stuff in it. But I
Right.
never actually near that or anything like that with growing up. So
Oh, we'll have to
um,
watch it. So if there was anyone watching, Kyra, who was considering becoming a foster carer and they've got birth children, what would you say to them if they were worried about how it's going to affect those birth children? Like, what advice would you give them?
okay. First of all, I'd say it is a big commitment. You should speak to your children about it 100%. You should make sure that there is actually space in your family and in your home for that. And then you should also speak to the wider family um, about um, fostering decision and about how you're thinking about it and how the support you'd have on the more practical things, like when they want to have a movie night, or if you want to have practical things for like babysitting and like on holidays and respite, things like that. Like I do think you should really talk about those practicalities. I think number two, you should always go for children an age group, if you're thinking about foster caring, that is a good 5 to 6 years younger than your current children, because um it's much easier, I think, to kind of develop a bond and almost take on that maternal figure when there is, and not feel jealousy in the same way or like empty nest syndrome in the same way when there is the gap between your children's ages and the children that you foster. So for example, that's why it's quite easy for me and my sister going through, because all the children that we had were under 5 for the first like 5 6 years that we were doing it. So that was quite an easy separation to make. It meant that we didn't really interfere in the same like daily lives. So if there was any problems, it meant that the children were in a different stage of school, but it meant that you could come home and still enjoy and play with those things and help teach them things and take an active role in their like being raised as well, rather than the power dynamic of children being older than your birth children, because that can obviously be a bit more difficult. And there's also something that you've never experienced in raising a child before in as well. So you might be biting off a little bit more than you can chew if you give someone that's older than your own birth children. So they're the two main things I would say. And the third thing is, I'd say go for it. I think it's a really, really, really rewarding thing. It can be very challenging at times, but the memories that we've made with so many children, like teaching like the first children how to swim or say their first word, or just like hearing a child genuinely laugh. Because we've had a lot of really anxious children come, and seeing their progress and see how far they've come. Just sleeping through the night, little things like not wetting themselves, like managing to like brush their teeth. Like the small wins are so rewarding, and then being able to see that process from start to finish, where we get to see, for example, the children, they have the court case, then they have then we've been invited back to an adoption ceremony, or meeting the parents when they come to the house, or then having the parents on Facebook and stuff still. Like we have some children that went to some Scottish accountants, and the kids just look absolutely living life now. They go on cruises every year. Sure, Army they just look absolutely so happy, and it's just so nice to see how far they've come, that we've had a role in their life going forward, and you get to see them track their progress.
Yeah.
It's like having a family that
Yeah.
spreads out across the world. There are sad things that happen and there are bad things that happen, but it's worth it for the good things. And just to
Yeah.
be an active part in someone's life like that, it's great.
Oh,
It is great.
Kyra, your passion for it is just infectious. It's really, really been lovely to speak to you. So just to finish off, you said it earlier on, but just to sort of sum up, how has being part of a fostering family from being a 12-year-old enriched your life?
It's made me more emotionally inept. It's made me more open to the world. It's made me less sheltered. It's made me more resilient. It's made me more hardworking. It's made me more passionate about the things that I do, and it's made me more grateful for everything that I have and how lucky I am in my life. I think gratitude is definitely something that's developed because of foster caring.
Yeah.
And also just a deep love and compassion for all the things that are around me. That I've seen as it's not the same with other people. I think when you speak to other people from foster families, then there's a certain love and a knowing smile that you can see from other people, that you can see like, well, we're doing something good in this world. It's something tangible, and it's something that's actually helping people. And I think everyone should enjoy that, really. Yeah.
That's lovely. Thank you so, so much for speaking to us, Kyra. And best of luck with the future, and congratulations again on your engagement.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kyra. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Voices of Fostering. If you'd like to find out more, head online and search National Fostering Group and make this the year you foster.